Hello, welcome to Oklahoma Moments. Today we have with us Mr. Billy Ray Blankenship, a resident south of Wilson in the Rubottom area. Welcome to Oklahoma Moments, Mr. Billy Ray Blankenship.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. I've been working on you for several years to get you on this.
You sure have.
Well, you know, you were so faithful to come to the nursing home when your wife, how long was your wife in the nursing home?
About 2 years.
And you were there, I think, every day. And I started talking to you because we would get to talking when we were sitting around with your Martha and me with Carl. We'd get talking about the oil field. And so I wanted you to share a part of history that is gone from this area. And but first of all, Billy Ray Blankenship, this is your life.
That's right.
We're going
I roughnecked 4 years, worked for Wellex Jet Service, perforating wells for 2 years, and worked 32 years at the refinery at Ardmore. So that's my working life right there.
Now listen, Billy Ray, you can't narrow it down to that because we've got 30 minutes we're going to talk. But first of all, let's start with some pictures that we have.
Okay.
And we have a picture of you and Martha, and that's a good picture, Billy Ray.
Yes, we were married 48 years. Lived in and around Ardmore from 55 to 89. Then we moved back to Rubottom.
Was that both of your home, the home place for both of you?
She was raised at Leon, so that's close.
Just
about
a few
4 miles away.
Yes. Do you know, when I carried the mail years ago, I thought, and I passed through there, I carried the mail to Rubottom, and I thought it looked like Rubottom. Lori Knowles was postmaster there at Rubottom.
That's right.
But who were your parents?
Bill and Molly.
Blankenship.
Yes. She was a Talifero
Oh, really?
before she married my dad, and she went to school at Xanax.
Oh, and she's one of these, we call them Taliferos or Tollivers. Most people say Tolliver.
Taliferos.
But I know there were some in Virginia, and they called them Taliferos, and back here they called them Tollivers. I think they just said it, slurred it together, I think.
Right. And we're kin to the Taliferos at Long Grove.
Yes. And Dub and his wife, they had the Dillard store for years.
Yes.
And, well, who was Martha's people?
Alfred Washington, and, well, I can't think of her mother's name right now because her mother died when the wife was 9 years old.
Okay.
Audra.
Audra.
That's it. Audra Carruthers.
And, well, you both grew up, you lived most of your life in Rubottom and the
Right.
Leon area.
Yes.
And then, is that where you went to school?
At Courtney.
At Courtney? And Courtney Flat down there?
Yeah, Courtney Flat.
A lot of people I know, I guess you know Tanky Spivey and Brian
Yes.
Spivey, Luana Davis, and
Yes.
her brothers.
Yes.
A lot of people. Minnie Black.
Who?
There was a Minnie Black down there that had,
Minnie Black.
I think her name was Minnie Black, because she had some land down there where we was wanting the bridge to go across. Maybe that's, maybe I have a name mixed up. But anyhow, and she may have been gone. She may have at one time owned the land. But we used to go into Texas and meet with the Nocona people and the Munster people. And we'd come up to the river and look across into Oklahoma, you know, across the river. But, well, did you serve in the military?
No. My younger brother joined the Navy, or I would have been drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But I stayed on the farm.
And at that time, the farm, it was very important to keep someone on the farm producing the food for the family.
Yeah, my dad couldn't work all the land we worked, himself.
Uh-huh. And how many children did you and Martha have?
Just 2 boys.
What are or were their names?
Dennis Ray, he's the one that died with cancer, and
Okay.
Alan Dale.
We have a picture of Dennis.
Yes.
How old was he when he died with cancer?
40.
40. Very nice looking boy. Now he was what, in the Air Force?
Yes, he's staff sergeant.
Very fine looking young man.
He was crew chief at Tucson, Arizona. They had the intercontinental ballistic missiles in those silos. And one day they had a leak in a silo, and he went down in there with his crew, and the strap broke holding his face mask on, so he breathed some oxidizer fuel. And these doctors here said that's what gave him his cancer, because the type of cancer he had only occurs in people 55 and older. And there he died at the age of 40. But after this accident, he was nothing to the Air Force then. They wouldn't recognize that there was anything at all wrong with him.
And I can relate to that because
One day he called us, and they was going to operate on him the next morning, so we flew out there. That evening, the doctor come in and pointed out the lymph nodes they were going to remove. The next morning, we went to the hospital. We didn't find anything wrong. And they didn't even have time to operate, so they just shoved him out the door, more or less. They're through with him.
didn't even operate.
No. Didn't get one thing out of him. So he had 12 years in then, and he was going to make a career of it. But after that, all he wanted was out. He had had enough of them.
And when he got out, did he come back to Oklahoma then?
Yes.
Did he live in the Oklahoma City area?
No, he lived at Ardmore for a few years. Then he moved down there about 450 feet from me.
Oh, really?
And his son and wife still live down there.
Now, you lost a granddaughter with cancer.
She had the rarest cancer in the world. Its name is angiosarcoma. And we found out she had it when she was 15 years old.
Oh, my.
And she passed away at the age of 19.
Oh, let's show her a picture.
And,
She's a beautiful girl.
She had
how
cancer
beautiful.
at the same time that my son did.
Oh,
And
really?
They died 2 years apart.
Now, was this his daughter?
Yes.
Oh, my.
So
Now, did she live in the area? She lived in the area out there where there's contamination?
lived about 450 feet from me.
Well, she's a beautiful girl.
So the 90s have been the pits.
Because then, how many years later did you lose your wife?
My son, my granddaughter died in 91, my son in 93, and wife in 99.
I was thinking it was last year.
Yeah.
And,
It's been a year ago.
You've handled everything good, and you've always had a smile on when you meet the people.
Well, some days everything gets to me, and I don't hold it.
I can understand. I can understand. Let's go to your oil field days.
Okay.
We have a picture that you brought of a crew. What year was this that you were working with this oil field crew? Let's show the picture.
1955.
Man, that's when this was a booming oil field place around here, all in this
Right,
area.
sure
Everywhere you
was.
went, you could see drilling rigs everywhere, couldn't you?
That is me on the, I want to say right or left.
Are you going over here on this side? Are you starting with the left?
Okay, start on the left side of the picture. That's me first, and then Cleo Showers, and then Johnny Showers, he was the driller. They were brothers. They were from Mississippi. And then Herman something, I don't remember his last name, and that's Buddy Stowers stooping there. He was a derrick man.
Where was he from?
Mansville.
Okay, where were y'all? Where was this group working?
Just south here on the bayou,
Oh, really?
southeast of here.
Okay, now this picture you brought of the rig, is that the rig that you worked on?
Yes.
Okay, we'll show that.
And this hole we rigged up on was 9,000 feet deep when we rigged this up.
Mm-hmm.
This was the third rig on that hole. And his best roughnecking job I ever had. They were already in the limestone, and we used diamond bits, and we were supposed to make 1 foot an hour, and so it's really a good job. And we made a trip every 4th day.
A trip, that's going down into the hole.
That's pulling out.
That's not packing your suitcase and going down the road.
That's pulling out and inspecting the diamond bit and putting another diamond bit on and then going back down in the hole. But usually the daylight crew, which I was on, pulled it out of the hole, and then the evening crew would go back in the hole with it.
Okay, now that diamond bit, was it like a head, a shaped head, and it had different notches around on it? Was that? Or?
No, it was just round.
Mm-hmm.
And had black diamonds on it, from
really?
the commercial diamond.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it really was the diamond bit.
Yeah, it's.
I know they gave them away, didn't they? Don't you know they were expensive?
Probably did.
They were expensive, but okay. Now, when you took a trip about every 4 days,
Yes.
that's when you're putting pipe into the ground.
Well, pulling it out and
you're-
looking at the bit,
Oh, okay.
and then going back in the hole.
And seeing if you need to replace the bit so you can
Right.
drill more.
Yeah, right.
Well, do you? I guess do you still have your lunchbox and your hard hat? Still have?
No, I don't have.
Those are things of the past. You wanted to get rid of them, didn't you?
Yes.
What company did you work for?
Parker Drilling Company.
Parker Drilling Company.
This was Rig 54.
And that is Parker Drilling Company headquartered in Duncan, or where? Where is it?
Oh, gosh. No, they weren't in Duncan. But they are a big drilling company.
Yes, I know. Did you ever work with Mother's youngest brother, Nathan Powell?
No.
He worked on the rigs, and I know he worked for Parker. I think Parker Drilling Company. I believe it was. There were so many around this area
Yeah.
that worked for them. Just about everybody, a young kid in this area, worked for Hobart Wilson, for the Wilson Drilling Company.
Yes.
Hobart and Bob Wilson. And then after Hobart was kind of out of the picture, well, they went to work for Lawrence Forsythe. And
Lawrence worked a lot for Hobart Wilson.
he did. He really
Yes.
did. And that was a boy that I guess he had worked at every hand out in the oil field. I mean, every job, right?
Yes.
But you didn't stay out in the oil patch very long.
I only roughnecked about 4 years. And then perforated wells 2 years.
Did you decide you didn't want to roughneck the rest of your life?
Hey, I've got starved to death.
And at that time, that paid better money than anything.
I got on with Well X, and I was guaranteed $325 a month. And that was a lot of money back in
then. That was a lot of money, because my husband was in the military, and we got paid once a month. And it's like, well, it wasn't very much money, just several $100s. You had to make it, stretch it, to make it last all month long.
I bought a new car in '55, and for $1,700. New Bel Air Chevrolet. My 51 green Chevrolet is in it.
Oh, there by the rig?
Yeah.
Let's go back and see if we can see any of it. We'll get Darren to, pardon me, to put it back up there on the monitor, and we'll see if we can focus in on those old cars that were sitting around, because I've forgotten about all those cars, and I said, now Billy Ray, you're going to have to tell me about those. So here in just a minute we'll shoot in on those, and it was a 55 Bel Air Chevrolet. What color?
The new one,
Uh-huh.
white over tan.
Really?
Yes.
I remember how white over turquoise was real popular during that time.
Yes.
Sand, I think they called it sand and turquoise.
Yeah.
And but okay, yes. Let's try to zoom in on his is over there on the right. Let's zoom in real close on some of those, and then we'll take some of those others one by one.
Well, I don't know whose car that is.
Oh, that's not yours?
No.
Well, it's a Chevrolet, isn't it?
You only see, you don't see the hood of my 51 Chevrolet.
Oh, really?
And that's a Buick sitting
Right there in front.
right there in front of me. Now, there's what you see of my 51
One
green
Chevy.
Chevrolet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the other car,
I had a blue one like that.
the other car there is a tool pusher's car.
The white one in the background?
Yes.
And this is a Buick Coupe here in front?
That's a Buick, Mansville on that.
And it's hard to tell what the tool pusher's car was.
It's Ford.
Was it?
Yes.
And I bet a four-door, because the tool pushers usually hauled some of the hands with them, didn't they?
Well,
Was it the tool pusher, or who was
No.
it that usually went by and picked up?
hey, we usually took turns driving, picking each other up. But we were scattered out so far
So that
that,
you
you
couldn't
know, the one from Madill and the one from Mansville had to drive by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But me and the driller and his brother live here in Wilson.
And what was the driller's name?
His name, Johnny.
Johnny.
Mhm.
Did you have to drive off long distance on when the rig would tear down and go different places?
We tore down and moved southwest of Davis on in the Arbuckle Mountains on Sam P. Hale Ranch.
Oh, really?
Yes, rigged up there.
And then in later years, of course you were out of that, but in later years, people would have to drive a long distance
Yes,
after the crash, after the oil field crash. And you worked for Welltex? Wellex. Now, where was that out of?
Ardmore.
Ardmore?
Mhm.
And how long did you work for that?
About 2 years.
And what was your job with that?
Oh, I was called a rigger.
Now, I'm
Take
digging up
one
I'm
gun
digging up
off.
some memories here. Now that's and you know we didn't rehearse any of this. I just wanted. You wouldn't have come if you'd have thought you'd had to remember all this, would you?
We would put a gun on the rope socket.
Now this gun is not what people would think.
No,
a regular gun.
it looks like the 4-inch looks like just a 4-inch piece of pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Only it has holes in it, 3 rows of holes in it, and then we load the guns in the shop. And they go down in the hole and shoot one, and then
Now what did you
another
load
one.
them? What did you load them with?
oh, they were
Was it some type of explosive?
oh yes, but
Okay.
it was kind of cone shaped.
Uh-huh. Now did it go down and explode, or explode outwards?
Outwards.
To destroy the rock that you were drilling through? Or?
Well, it would go through the casing and into the formation some. I don't know how much.
Mm-hmm.
But the 4-inch shot, we had a sample of it where they tied it to a 4-inch thick piece of metal. And it almost went through all that 4-inch metal.
You had to know what you were doing then, didn't you?
It was real powerful.
And, well, then you went to work for Refinery?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it, what was it, Bell? It wasn't Bell Refinery then, was
Ben
it?
Franklin.
Ben Franklin.
Yes. It changed hands about 3 or 4 times while I was there.
And now then I think it's what, a French company owns it? British? or
Diamond
French?
Shamrock.
Oh, Diamond Shamrock owns it now?
Total did own it, and they sold out to Diamond Shamrock a few months ago.
Mm-hmm. And, well, now what was your job there?
I was in what they call the relief pool 4 years, and then I took a job at the loading rack where they loaded jet fuel, gasoline, and diesel. And then they built the new loading dock in 1975, and I went over there then in August. And it was run by a computer.
Oh, really?
And I was the only one there on day shift.
Well, now you said jet fuel. Was that jet airplane fuel, or jet?
No,
just
it
brand?
was for Air Force,
okay.
which has to meet stricter standards.
Mm-hmm.
Your freeze point has got to be a lot higher on Air Force fuel, jet fuel, than commercial. Now, they still make commercial jet fuel that goes to DFW, you know,
Mm-hmm.
down there.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the specs on it aren't as great. Like the freeze point. On the jet fuel, Air Force jet fuel, the freeze point had to be 70 degrees or more below freezing
Wow.
to pass the test.
Man. And you had to know how to watch that computer, didn't you?
Well, I didn't do that. The
You
lab did that.
The lab did
The
that.
lab and,
but you still had was it a big computer that covered a wall type thing? And did you have to watch a bunch of meters, or was it
No.
smaller?
The meters were outside, and I was about 100 feet away from the meters in a building, but someone needed help. Someone come in, if it was the first time, I helped them find the card to load by, and then went out and showed them how to hook up to the trucks right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well-
it was a very easy job.
Well, how long were you there?
Yeah,
How long did you work there?
32 years.
You must have liked it
And I had to quit 3 years before I would have retired.
because of health problems.
Fibromyalgia.
Oh dear, I have that, and you cannot explain the pain, can you?
No, you can't.
There's times it's unbearable, isn't it? But you have to smile.
It has been the last week.
This weather hasn't helped.
My legs have been so weak I couldn't hardly walk.
Yeah, and I can relate to that, and it probably took years. I know it did on me, because it resembled so many things. Then when they couldn't find anything and nothing really showed up in certain testing, that they think you need to see a psychiatrist.
Right.
and so it probably took years before they found out what was wrong with you. Is that correct?
Dr. O'Connor at Marietta found I was his first patient. He had me to come to his office on my way home every day for 2 weeks to tell him how I felt right then. And no charge. He was real good to me. But he said he didn't know what I had, but he had a specialist friend in California that he would communicate with. And so he's the one that found out about fibromyalgia. And now, this has been so long ago now that this insurance company, if they can't find out what's wrong with anyone, they'll send that person to Dr. O'Connor.
Oh, really?
And I could examine you now and find out whether or not you had
Yes,
fibromyalgia.
because the places that hurts.
My whole body.
And before it rains or when it's stormy, do you feel like you're in a pressurized chamber,
Gosh.
squeezing around your lungs and just everything? Your entire body feels like it's squeezing. Someone's squeezing.
Feet hurt, legs hurt, arms, hands. But I'm sore now anywhere you touch me. It's just like touching sore. I've had it so long.
And you have to learn to live with pain, right? And you have to...
You live with it.
You have to learn to smile and go on and say, you know, when I was younger, when this first hit me, I would start in to tell someone how I hurt. And I'm sure the same way with you. After a while, you found out they don't want to hear how you hurt. They just ask how you were feeling. They didn't want to hear your life story. So I've learned now how you, unless I'm very ill, because it shows. You cannot hide the pain when it gets so severe, as you well know. And then I say, I'm just fine, or well, I'm not having a good day. And we have to smile and go on. And otherwise, and then when we feel good, we want to overdo it, don't we?
Yes, that's right.
And then you're in bed. Yes, with
Some
pain.
days I don't get out of the house.
That's why
Once a week.
I've had to resign from a lot of things because it has gotten worse. And here, in the such drought, such severe conditions, was very painful. And then all of this type of weather is very painful. But well, you still reside on the farm.
Yes.
And I guess you will be there until the good Lord blows the trumpet.
Sometimes I wish you'd be right now.
And but your kids and grandkids need you. You told me that your son and grandson's going to be buying a home in Wilson.
My grandson is.
Your grandson?
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's good. He'll be close to. What does he call you, Papa?
No, not this one. The two little ones at least ones in Oklahoma City call me that, but
Really?
not this one.
Uh-huh.
It's about 2 blocks south on 76 Highway.
Oh, really?
Across the street from Omaha.
Oh, really?
That
The
white-
McClanahan.
White brick house.
Is it the McClanahan
Right.
home? Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
That
That's
house
a nice
in 5
home.
acres.
Yes, that's a nice home. Mr. McClanahan always had a big garden there to the south of that. Well, that's good. It'll be handy for you to drive up here and visit with them. And then your daughter-in-law and grandson or grandchildren live next door to you?
Yes, this grandson
Okay.
still lives down there,
Well, that's good.
and my daughter-in-law.
That's good because you're not alone. Of course, I
No.
haven't been to your place, but lots of times out in the rural area, there's several miles between neighbors, and so I didn't know if.
I've got a sister a mile south of me, a sister a mile west of me, a brother about 2.5 miles north of me.
So you're
so
surrounded.
there's 4 of us surrounded.
Well, that's good. That's good. And you know, with the holidays, do y'all get together?
Sometimes.
And you know, that's such a special time. It seems like distance and with our family spread out, we don't do that like we used to. Remember when everybody gathered at Grandma's house?
Yes.
Those were the good old days.
Those were.
And well, do you have any cattle? Do you still have cattle, or?
When my son died, I sold everything because I couldn't take care of him.
And do you have any pecan trees on your?
Yes.
You think you're going to have a good pecan crop this year?
I've got some lower limbs.
My pecan tree, it seems like if I have a good crop, they're wormy. If I don't have a good crop, well, they're good.
That's the way it is this year, I think.
It doesn't look like there's very many on the trees, does it?
No.
And well, is there anything that, now, I started to say, is there anything that you want to tell or talk about, but knowing you won't, I'll have to pull it out of you. Now, is all of your family buried at the Rubottom Cemetery?
Yes.
And that's where Martha is buried. Was that the family plot up there? You buried her beside your son?
Yes.
In the northwest corner, seemed like.
Right, northwest corner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I had forgotten about your granddaughter being buried there also. But, well, you know, Lonnie Williams, he went and opened and he unlocked that gate and locked it for, what, 40 years?
A long time.
He did. He was a fine citizen in the community, wasn't he?
He sure was.
And he and his wife, but Ollie didn't get out much, but Lonnie, he was in everything in the community.
He was.
He talked me into taking over the mail route from him, and that's the first
Oh,
time.
really?
Yes, and that's when I found out about Rubottom.
Well, I don't remember seeing you down there.
I was scared to death going through those sandy roads down there through Brushy Mound and all of those.
Boy, it's sandy there.
Yes, and I burned up a motor and a transmission. I was determined the roads are a lot better now than they were then. That's when I developed ulcers. I could wake up and it'd be raining during the night and I'd be sick by the time it's time to go to work. But Lonnie was a real fine gentleman. Well, Billy Ray, you know, I know that you're just thrilled to death that this 30 minutes is
About it.
Yes. I certainly appreciate you coming. I wanted to preserve this picture of the rig and the crew there. And
Well, I'm glad I gave you the picture of
yes,
the rig,
yes, yes.
but I thought it was going to stop there.
You thought that's all I'd do, but I
That's
put it
right.
up. See, I put it up in a folder. And every once in a while I'd see you and ask you, and you'd say, oh, sometime. But this time I called you and you didn't say no. I'm so proud that you didn't. And I want to thank you for coming and joining me on Oklahoma Moments and sharing your life with our viewers and your memories.
Well, you're very welcome.
And I want to thank you for joining us today on Oklahoma